There are memories you'll always struggle to remember. Part of maturing is dealing with one's loss of memories. Some memories we'd like to forget, and while you don't mourn the loss of every memory of washing your hands or driving to work, you can't fully trust yourself. You can't trust that it's only superfluous memories decaying from your sadly human mind. Maybe there are important memories leaving, not just memories of summer fun or enjoyable but obscure art and media, but secrets only a few hold, secret thoughts and unshareable ideas. What's worse is maybe some of those memories aren't decaying at all. Maybe some are being jettisoned with severe prejudice. Maybe you've even convinced yourself that some of your most precious memories are manufactured, not your own. So today we'll be playing a game of true or false to test your knowledge of your knowledge. I feel confident, yet still a bit nervous as I clutch the folder holding my resume. I feel like I've been in this waiting room for hours, though it's been minutes. My whole life I've worked to get up to this point. You see, I've always loved playing with trains. When I was a boy, I'd build my own trains, my own tracks. I'd design whole towns. I'd spend so much time with my trains that my social life, my family life suffered. My favorite thing to do was to build it all up and smash it all together in a violent collision. I'd rig it so that the trains would catch fire. The little town guys would become engulfed. I'd imagine and mimic their screams, trains flying off the tracks, devastating whole sets with hammers, sounds of metal scraping on metal. Glorious. God, I hope I get this job. I'm tired of playing with toys. It's time to move up to the real thing. True or false? They say that the olfactory senses, the sense of smell, is the sense closest linked to memory. Go on eBay or to a high-end antique dealer. Find an item made a good amount of time before you were born that was hermetically sealed, vacuum packed, or tightly packaged in some way. Make sure you're in surroundings of completely neutral smell with little or no wind. Open the package. The smell should harken back to your collective subconscious or a memory of a past life. If you are successful in choosing the right item with the right smell, you will at least have a memory flash, or likely a memory flood of years before you were born. True or false? My cousin and I had gone to San Antonio, and we had heard rumors about some haunted railroad tracks. The story was, a school bus full of children had stalled on the tracks with a train coming. The train was going too fast for there to be time to get the children off, so they all died. When we finally found the tracks, we stopped the car, parking right on the railroad tracks. We were both a bit nervous and scared, and we waited for something to happen. Just when we were about to leave, the car started rolling, and we were both too freaked out to do anything more than grab onto each other and gasp. Eyes wide, mouths open. After what seemed like an eternity, but was actually less than 5 minutes tops, the car stopped rolling. We looked around, and we were off the railroad tracks. Now, that might not seem spooky, but what we saw next scared us enough to jump back into the car and make the 6-hour trip home that night. Both of us got out of the car and walked around to the back. After that first 6-hour drive, Our car had accumulated quite a bit of dust on it. That's not scary, no. But what was scary were the little sets of handprints all over the back of the car. All the size of children's hands. True or false? We first met at a club. It wasn't the typical drink way too much and flirt with a stranger hoping they'll come home with you thing. We really connected. We exchanged numbers, dated a few weeks, but she lost interest. I didn't, though now I wish I had. I was literally crazy about her. I couldn't get her out of my head, and I was willing to do anything to see her again. The only problem was that she didn't want to see me. I didn't physically follow her at first. I was content constantly checking her social media sites that she updated many times a day. When impersonal status updates weren't enough to give me my fix, I started using frequent check-ins to find her favorite places and start frequenting them myself, hoping to run into her. It worked a few times, but more often it didn't. That's when I started full-on following her, and my world became a nightmare. I had initially made it a rule not to go around her house. The last thing I wanted was for a neighbor to become suspicious and call the cops. I broke my own rule one night when I watched as she brought home a random guy from a bar. I was furious, and I had every intention of telling the guy to fuck off when he left her house. I sat in my car and seethed all night, but he didn't leave. The sun had just started to come up when I completely lost my mind, and I entered her house to confront them both. I climbed in through the downstairs window and crept to her bedroom on the second floor. She was alone in her bed. I was sure he hadn't left, so I searched the house for him. He was in the basement, hung from a rope and pulley system, upside down, with his throat slit. I ran out of the house and called the police. I confessed my crimes of stalking and breaking and entering while they arrested my now former obsession for a much more serious crime. I didn't think the situation could be any more messed up. I was wrong. She was eating people. She confessed pretty much right away, and they were able to confirm that she was telling the truth by testing the meat in her freezer. She would meet a guy, bring him home, drug him, and slaughter him. 4 poor souls followed her home like poor horny puppies, and ended up on her menu. When I was given this information, it occurred to me that I couldn't remember ever seeing her buy red meat when I followed her through the grocery store. That's when I remembered that one of our dates was at her house, where she served steaks for dinner. True or false? Honestly, dishonestly, honesty is in the eye of the beholder. These lies seem true enough, but let's not stand on ceremony. F's all around. Let's just call it even and say all 5 stories were false, except for the one that happened to you. I hope you know the one. The proximity to historical fact cannot be overstated. I Used to Be a Stalker was written by CMD 201. Poor Thomas was written by Huntfrog. San Antonio is an old uncredited story. Olfactory seems uncredited, but I've lied before. Links in the description.